Well, good morning everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. Real quick, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Today we are going to do the next part of the demodding of the Toyota Tacoma up here, all in preparation for our next purchase, which is going to be the 2020 Tacoma. That's a different video. Anyway, today we're going to be removing the TRD cold air intake that I put in the Tacoma up there, and we're going to be putting the original OEM version right there back in. Now, I'm going to show you guys as soon as I get the TRD out, and I'll show you how to do that. And again, switching these out is the same operation. So if you're looking to put a TRD cold air intake in, this will show you how to do that, except I'm using the OEM, but the steps are the same. And I'm going to show you the difference between the two, like I said, once I get this out. So let's get the truck down. Okay, got you guys all set up. First step, of course, is to remove the engine cover. And that's pretty simple. It just pulls straight out, and it's on some hooks back there a little that kind of push in, just pull, and that's it. It's very, very simple to get the engine cover off. Okay, we're going to start at the driver's side, or the right of the motor, and work our way to the passenger side that way, or to the left as I'm looking at the engine. First of all, we have to loosen the clamp from the throttle body. That takes an 8mm socket. Pretty simple to do, really. So let's do that. That should be loose enough, I think. And then back behind here we have a little clamp on a vacuum hose. So we're going to see about pulling that off. You should just be able to squeeze it together with your fingers, hopefully, and move it on back. That's going to remain on the truck, so we're going to go ahead and pull that off. That's probably more difficult than it sounds. There, slid off there pretty easily. That wasn't too bad. Now we have to move over to the MAV sensor over here. The MAF sensor, mass airflow sensor right here. So we have a hook, we have to unplug it first. So let's try to do that. It's actually pretty tight in there. So before I do that, I'm going to release it back here from the little clamp that holds it to the airbox lid. And that's just one of those little squeeze kind of clamps. So I'm going to grab a needle nose pliers and remove that, and that'll give us a little more play in here so I can finagle that a little bit better, a little bit easier. Okay, like I said, there's a little squeeze kind of thing. It actually has, I don't need the needle nose, I need my little screwdriver. It actually has a little tab that pushes down, so we're going to push that down. Get some light in there. Yeah, it just has a little, couple of push down tabs, if you will, on the top and the bottom here. That's how you remove that. And then it's still hooked to the back. We'll get to that in a couple minutes, but I want to see if I can go ahead and unplug the sensor now. Just a little. There. So just squeeze it a little from the top and it'll pop right off. Now we need to release this little holder from the back here. So I'm going to reposition myself and we'll get behind there. It's the same kind of little squeeze thing that the other one is. There. That just pushes in as well. Not too difficult to do, really. So now we have the MAV sensor cleared, so we'll set that aside. Now we need to pull the, undo the lid rather, from the box here itself. Okay, so we've got the MAV sensor disconnected here. We got the little tab that was holding it in over here disconnected, and the one from the back. So we should be able to just lift this up now and kind of twist it off with the throttle body over here, because we have the clamp nice and loose over there. So let's unhook it, like so. We should be able to lift it up, like so. And now we should be able to twist this off, if I recall. Yeah, nice and easy. That takes us free. So we have the top part of the airbox and all the connections done. And now we're going to remove the lower airbox and filter, because we have to take out our little air inverter, I believe it's called. that's in the side of the fender down below, so we can put the original back in. And that's really where the guts of this system comes from, and I'll show you that. So let's set this aside. Go ahead and take the filter out while we're here. And set this aside. We will reuse, this is the OEM filter. All right, now we have to pop the OEM filter, or the air box out over there to get to that little air inverter, I'm calling it. I don't think that's the right name. But we have to get to that. So let me zoom you in a little bit. There's just, I believe, 3 bolts that hold this thing in. So let me zoom you in a little. You can see one of the bolts in the top right there. We have a 12 millimeter, and I have a deep well socket to give myself as much room as I can in here. We need to remove, there's 3 bolts, 2 inside, and then if I'm not mistaken, there is 1 back here behind that we need to pull out. So, let's go ahead and do that. Well, now we're going to go ahead and pull this out. Should be really pretty simple, and it is. This is where it was plugged into the little air accelerator, I think maybe it's called. It's still in the fender well right now, so we'll set that aside. Now we have to take this little sleeve out of here. This is where I actually cut myself last time. Right around the lip of this, it's pretty sharp, so be careful when you're taking this thing out. There, that's not too bad. This is the most important part, supposedly, of this whole system. So that's the complete removal. Everything is out now. I'm going to take you over to the table and I'm going to show you the difference between the OEM and the TRD cold air intake. You can make your own decision if it's worth it or not. So let's head over there. All right, got you over here to my makeshift workbench, if you will. We have the OEM upper part of the air box here. We have the TRD cold air intake here, of course the air box here, and then the 2 air accelerators. Now, the only difference, and this is the biggest difference, or really the only thing other than the air filter and the size of the resonators, I guess. Obviously, the resonator on the TRD is smaller than the resonator on the OEM. But you have this air accelerator. This is the sleeve that comes with the TRD cold air intake. And this is what plugs into that hole from the OEM. Now, you can see the opening, obviously, is the same size. The only difference is you have this little lip here that you don't have on the TRD. I don't know. This is what's supposed to really make the difference. Yeah, I don't know. Except for this flange here, it would really be the same kind of thing, right? So there's a good shot. You can see this is with it open, right? And this is when you put the flange in. So you can see this does restrict the air just a little bit as far as much as can get in, but man, it's really not that big of a difference. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that, the big controversy. We'll set that aside because we're going to put the original back on. Now we have a little bit of parts transfer to do here. Obviously, this part needs to go back on the original air box. That's pretty simple. And then the 2 little clips over on the lid down here need to go back on the bottom part of the, or the top part, I should say, of the OEM box so that we can clamp it all down. And that is about it. Then it's just a matter of reassembling. We do need to transfer the MAV sensor here onto the OEM again, so we'll have to unscrew that and put it back in. It just feeds through. It's pretty easy to do. So let me go ahead, get all that stuff reassembled, and then we'll put this thing back in the truck. Okay, got everything switched over. I'll show you real quick. On the air box itself, we have the air accelerator, I guess, the OEM version, put back on, so we can just slip that back in the hole, bolt this back down. And then on the top cover, the lid, if you will, we have the 2 little clips here on the sides that you fasten down to the lower part of the air box. And then we also have the MAF sensor right here put back in. Again, pretty easy. Just be a little careful with it, but it's pretty easy to do. So that's all done. And that's all we need to do. Now we just need to put this thing right back in the truck. So let's go do that. Okay, let's go ahead and get this thing put back in. You guys can see the hole right there. That's where the end of the airbox right there is going to go in. So we're going to put that in, and then we're going to tighten it back down. There, I think that's good. Now, save yourself a little trouble. Go ahead and put your air filter in here before you do the rest. Makes life a little bit easier. Okay, let's go ahead and pop our air filter in here. You don't have to screw with that while we're trying to finagle everything else. It's that easy to do now, so do it. Let's grab the top part. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing back on. Again, it shouldn't be too difficult. We just want to make sure we get it on the throttle body correctly. While we're at it, let's go ahead and locate our MAV sensor, which is here. So let's get that thing out of the way there. There we go. And go ahead and get our clamp back on here. You may notice when you're doing this, right here, there's actually a slit that fits on the air intake itself over a nub in the casting, so you know you have it in the right place. So let's go ahead and finagle the lid in just a little bit while we're at it. Make sure we have this in there nice and snug. And let's go ahead and tighten down the clamp here. Now we're going to go, actually, let's go in reverse order, I think. So let's not do that. Let's go ahead and start with the MAF. Get my footstool over here so I can get up here. All right, let's go ahead and get the mass airflow sensor situated. Remember on the back, you have one little plug-in, if you will, or holder. It's not a plug-in, a holder that goes in the slot back there. You'll see it when you're doing this. Pretty easy. And then we're going to go ahead and seat the wiring before we go on, just to make sure that goes in properly. A little click there. I don't know if you heard that. And then the little holder on the top. Let's go ahead and get that back in. There we go. Got that. Now let's go ahead and fasten down our lid while we're over here, to make sure we get everything seated properly. These clamps out of the way, they always get in the way. Okay, you have it hooked in the front. There's two little hooks in the front. That's done. Let's go ahead and pull our clamps down. There, we're now reconnected. We have the MAP sensor in. We need the vacuum line here, and then we need to tighten down the hose clamp. We're done. We'll do it. Let's go ahead and put our vacuum line back on. Much easier to get on than get off, that's for sure. Squeeze our little holder here, put that back on. It's pretty simple. Or cinchy, as they used to say back in my day. It was cinchy. That was really cinchy. You guys ever heard that term? Probably not. All right, let me grab the let me grab the ratchet. We'll tighten the clamp back down there, and I think we're golden. I'm sure I have the right size. I don't. It's actually a different size between the TRD and the OEM. The OEM, I believe, is 10 millimeter, whereas the TRD is 8. Go figure. Again, this is another area where you don't want to kill it. I mean, eventually you're just torquing on the casting for the throttle body. You don't want to break that. I don't know if you really could, but last thing you want to do is crank on that thing until you hear a crack. And now you have a bigger problem. So we're not going to do that. Let's go ahead, just one more little turn, and I think we're good there. And that's it. So just to recheck, we have the hose done. The hose clamp done on the throttle body. We have the vacuum line done. We have the map sensor holders on the back and on the side here refastened. And then we have it plugged back into the map sensor for power. And we have the lid back on with the filter inside, and that's it. All we have to do now is put the lid back on and we're finished. Okay, we have the engine cover here. Let's go ahead and finagle that back on. It's not that difficult really. Give it a little tug, make sure we're on there properly, and we are, and that's it. All right, you guys can see we have the OEM cold air intake, or intake. I guess I'd probably call it a cold air intake as well. Back on, everything's done. It's just that simple. Probably take you, if you're being careful, probably about, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes to do this, especially if you've never done it before, and you're not filming like I am. Pretty easy job to do. Just take your time and don't break anything. That's the key. Anyway, that's another part of the demodding of my 2018 Toyota Tacoma in anticipation of purchasing the new 2020 for the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. As usual, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on the web. Have a great day. Bye.